one source of the gunk that causes roadblocks in your heart arteries. Sugar is the other culprit. The problem is that nobody other than me is teaching you that. And you're out there eating low-fat foods that are full of sugar. So you're not doing anything beneficial for your heart. You're actually making the problem worse. And unlike fat, you have to break your addiction to sugar in order to reduce your risk for a heart attack. People aren't addicted to fat the way they are to sugar. So since sugar is a hard habit to break, I think it would be good for me to just give you a few tips on how to decrease your sugar intake, okay? So that's what I'm going to do now. Here goes. The first thing you should do is omit all sugared beverages. This means no juicing, which I explained in the last podcast, no smoothies, which I also explained in the last podcast, no fruit juice, no soft drinks, and no coffee or tea drinks with whipped cream, caramel, etc., because those are really desserts, not beverages. Second, if you cook any recipes that call for any kind of sugar, reduce the quantity by half. Reduce the sugar quantity by half. And if you can't stand that, add some raisins or other whole fruit to the recipe. Third is the 5-to-1 rule. For any packaged food with a nutrition label, look at the carbohydrate section. Divide the total carbohydrate by the fiber. If your answer is 5 or less, buy it. If your answer is 6 or more, don't. Fourth, never, never, never eat sugar without fiber. The way you include fiber is to make fruit your only source of sugar. And always, always, always eat the whole fruit. If you juice, you have removed the fiber. Fifth, look at all ingredients. Always. Don't buy anything that has even a molecule of high fructose corn syrup in it. And you're going to find that it's in nearly all packaged foods. And that should tell you something. This is what I'm talking about with regard to the food industry putting sugar in everything and making it hidden. Okay, so there are your 5 tips for reducing sugar. Number 1, omit sugar beverages. Number 2, put half the recommended sugar in all recipes. Number 3, only buy foods that pass the 5-to-1 rule. Number 4, limit your sugar to that in whole fruit. And number 5, don't buy anything containing high fructose corn syrup. And like I've done in the previous 2 podcasts, I'm going to give you a word about the best and worst diets for preventing a heart attack with regard to sugar. Well, it turns out that the one and only thing that all diets eliminate is sugar. So that should tell you a lot. So no matter what kind of diet you consider, they all limit sugar. And that brings us right back to what I've told you in the previous 2 podcasts. The worst diets for preventing a heart attack are the ones that include animal products and animal fats, such as the Atkins diet and the keto diet. And the best diets for preventing heart attacks are the ones that include a lot of fiber, meaning plants, like the Ornish diet, the low glycemic index diet, and the South Beach diet. There's a book called Fat Chance by Robert Lustig, MD, and it's very detailed about this topic of sugar causing the whole diabetes and heart attack epidemics. It's a great book. If you're not a medical doctor, you might get a little overwhelmed, but it's still the very best accounting of all the facts that on this topic that I've ever found. You know, my goal with these lessons is to give you logic behind everything and then give you practical ways of accomplishing your goals. And the main message today is that you cannot prevent a heart attack by focusing on fat alone, because the food supply today is so altered and filled with sugar that you are probably addicted to it whether you realize it or not. And that is contributing directly to your risk of a heart attack. And I hate to give you such a sour note and to lead up to that kind of thing in a topic like this, but it's the truth, and it's high time that someone tell you the truth, because it's important to know the big picture. And what I find is that people only know one thing or another, and they don't know how to put all the pieces together. Once you see the individual roles that fat, fiber, and sugar play in heart attacks, it makes everything much easier for you in terms of avoiding one. And so I love dissecting things in a way where you get to see each one individually and use the material accordingly. So I challenge you to start looking at food packages and look at two things on every food package you encounter. Look at the ingredients. Look for the sugars. Look for whole grain. See if there's whole grain at all. And then do the 5-to-1 rule thing. Look at the nutrition label and look at how many total carbohydrates there are, and how many of those carbohydrate calories come from sugar as opposed to fiber. That alone will give you tremendous information. Nutrition labels are very valuable. They aren't as good as they should be, because the rules for nutrition labels are not seriously in your best interest. There's still some hidden information there. I do my best to give you the bottom line for how to use them easily and quickly and make sense out of them. But the most important thing you could actually be looking for on any food package is sugar, not fat, because many of the fats are good for you. Sugar is the biggest toxin on our planet. It's the most addictive substance in the world, and the reason it's so toxic, and in my opinion the biggest danger, is because it's legal and it's hidden. And the food industry is allowed to put sugar in your food without your knowing it. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's okay. I mean, it's allowed, it's legal. And that to me is the biggest problem, because it's very, very hard for you to know how to avoid sugar. If you buy anything that's packaged at all and labeled by the food industry, I guarantee you there's sugar in it. So obviously, if you can get your food in a way where the food industry never touches it, grow it, get it from a farmer who grows it, basically once the food industry has touched it at all, you probably are going to have some sugar that you didn't want. And it's going to be in things that just shock you. I went to Whole Foods to buy ground flax seeds once, and I read all labels and look at all ingredients. I don't buy anything without checking every little detail about it. And I, as usual, turned the package over to look at, the ingredients and the nutrition label. I mean, I was buying flax seeds. I mean, you would think that I wouldn't have to do that, but I do. It's a habit. There was sugar in them. They were full of sugar. And I put it back on the shelf because it was like all I wanted was flax seeds. I don't want the sugar. But if it's packaged, it's going to have sugar in it. And so you've got to look for it, and you've got to know to look for it. So I invite you to go to my website, menopausetailor.me. You'll find all my educational resources there. The best thing I offer is a consultation, a one-on-one consultation. You can schedule those at menopausetailor.me. I do them with women all over the world on video conferencing, Skype, FaceTime, whatever, all video conferencing. And the bottom line is I tailor everything to you. And so that's the most valuable thing you could get from this educational product. All my products are educational. So I will tell you goodbye today. Please come back next time. I'm going to address lifestyle options for preventing a heart attack in my next podcast, and I hope you're there to listen. So I say goodbye now. I'm Menopause Taylor signing off. Goodbye.